Noisy Pixel.
What's up, nerds, and welcome to another episode of the Noisy Pixel podcast for the week of May 1st. I know I said that the last episode, and I was wrong.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I just looked at it earlier today, and I realized I said the wrong thing.
Hey, no one said anything, so we're safe.
Yeah. I'm your host, Brian Lee, and today I'm joined by Azario Lopez.
Hello, everyone.
Jake Yoder.
Hey, guys.
Newcomer Madison Berge.
Hey.
And Victor Aparicio.
How's it going, everybody?
So excited. We have a full house today. A lot of people. So many people. Is this the most that we've had on this podcast so far, Azario, or is the PAX one the largest one?
The PAX one was pretty big. But
yeah, because I think we had a good amount of people on that.
I feel like the PAX episode was just me bossing people around for a good 30 minutes. Telling them what to do.
Boss, so
exactly.
And I didn't cut the episode, so you just hear like 5 minutes of us just moving around in the beginning. I didn't mean to leave
I liked it. I thought it was funny. But they're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna move over here so you guys can sit and have more room." It was like the first few minutes of the podcast.
I'm so lucky I didn't say something I regret. It could have been bad, knowing me.
That's great. Well, yeah, since there's so many of us, for the sake of time, let's just jump right into it with what we're all playing. Azario, do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Mr. Boss Man?
I've been playing this game that's in early access right now called Mahou Arms. It's kind of like a Nier Automata Devil May Cry action game. So I'm like, I beat it. It's you can get through the early access portion in like an hour, and it's really cool, right? And you could see like the girl's panties a lot in it and stuff, and like it's selling the butt stuff, but it looks good. And then I find out that like so we put the preview out and everything, and then I'm looking more into this game, and then I find out that there's an 18+ patch where if you beat it, you could then have sex. You can then have 3D sex with the girl.
Thank God. Weird.
Like after the mission, it's like one of those. I'm sure you've come across them before, but I'm sorry, Madison and Jake. I don't mean to put this. I don't mean to show you guys this side of me so early. But
I've been there.
We're not even on episode 69 yet, you guys. Okay.
So 69, you can't bring this up.
Yeah, we got
I'm
9 more
already deep in
episodes.
despair. Don't worry.
So it's like you're like those like porn videos where like the 3D effects porn videos that a lot of Tumblr people make. It's exactly like that, but in a video game that I didn't expect it to be in. And it's like the equivalent of this really didn't need to be here, and it is. And this is the only time I've ever felt like that. In visual novels, I'm like, I'll give it a pass. I can deal with this. But this game, you could just absolutely pass it up, and there's no need for you to go back to the ship just to fuck this girl. It's like...
Azario, this kind of talk is why I tell my parents not to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, no. When we first started this podcast, I was like, just shelling it out. I was like, oh yeah, you're listening. I'm going to do a podcast and stuff. We're 60 episodes in, and I'm like, yeah, they can't listen to like more than 2 episodes of this. And I have to tell them which ones to listen to.
Yeah, my mom the other day was like, oh, I listened to your podcast you were on, and I was like, oh my God, did you? And she was like, yeah, but I was only half listening, and I stopped after you talked about what you were playing. And I was like, woo. Because I think you went after me, Azario, and we talked for like 5 minutes about some weird ass sex thing. And I was like, oh God.
I really got to talk about mature thing on the iTunes. Well, cool. So that sounds like an interesting game. and at least it's optional, like it's a patch, so you don't even have to have that in your game if you wanted to play it.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
I mean, I downloaded it, Brian. If that's what you're asking, yes, I did.
mean, I wasn't asking, but thanks for telling me. Thanks for answering the question no one was asking.
And that's it. And just working on stuff. Just a plug. This week, if you go to our YouTube channel, we have probably over 16 videos posted from last week. So be sure to watch them.
Well, yeah, it was a big week. Azario works hard. He posts all the videos and he says, "I'm ready to collapse now," and then goes to bed.
And then he dies, and we resurrect him in the morning, and it's simple. It works.
And then the whole cycle starts over again.
Exactly.
This eternal torment for Azario is revenue for us.
This is why Azario is the boss. Puts in the work. Cool. Well, then let's move on to Jake.
Yeah.
How about you, man?
Oh, well, I spent most of last week playing the new Predator game, Predator Hunting Grounds.
Yeah.
Which I was really excited for because I love like horror movies, and I love Predator in general, just like the Predator alien universe. So I love seeing, I don't know, I also really enjoy like bad movie adaptation games. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, I've got to play that. So that's why I was really excited, Azario, when you were like, do you want to review this Predator game? I was like, yes. But it was fine, I guess. You know,
it looks terrible.
It's maybe a little less than fine. Because it's like multiplayer only. That's by Ilphonics, the people that made the Friday the 13th game, which was another game that I was really excited for. That I just never could really get into, just because it was really weird and glitchy, and I don't know, I didn't think it was very fun if you weren't playing as Jason. But for this one, I was like, well, even if you're not playing as the Predator, like, you're a soldier with guns, so there's got to be something to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was just weird because, I mean, no online only game I feel like ever has a successful like launch. And this one was the same, where you would get online, and if you wanted to play as the Predator, like I said in the review, there were sometimes where I would be waiting for like 30 minutes and just like nothing would happen. I would just be sitting there, and I'd have to just start over and pray that I would get into a match. And even now, they've like patched it, I think, twice since launch. And
are there people who like? Oh, sorry. Are there people who like leave when they can't be the Predator? Since it's an online only game.
Well, so when you go to like join a match, you there's three options. It's like be a soldier, be a Predator, or no preference. So if you're gonna be a Predator, you just like press like be a Predator, and that's why I guess that's why you have to wait longer. Yeah, so that's why it takes longer, because it's like 4v1s. So if you're going in as a soldier, there's obviously more slots open for soldiers.
And of course, everyone wants to be the Predator, right? So
yeah, because that's where the game is fun. Because when you're the soldier, it's just a generic first-person shooter, Especially because like I found it really hard to like put my words in the review, like put my thought into word, when it's like it depends. Each match depends on who you're playing with, but how much fun it'll be, if that makes any sense. Because when you're playing as a soldier, were like at least 5 times where I would get with someone as the Predator, who I guess was just bad at being the Predator, and we would never run into them. And as the soldier, your job isn't to kill the Predator. Your objective is to like go in, blow something up, and then like escape. So there were like 5 matches where I was just playing against this like terrible AI, and in this like generic first person shooter, never running into a Predator, and then just leaving and being like, well, I won, I guess. But it wasn't fun. So I would say like 50% of the time with that game, it was fun, mostly when you're playing as the Predator, and it has a lot of potential. It just needs to get polished. The AI needs to get better. The I don't know, the matchmaking needs to get fixed. I just feel like it wasn't ready. I really don't know what they could have done. Just polish all that stuff, have a little bit more time in the oven. But that's why, I gave it a 6, because it's like I had fun sometimes, and there's potential there, but I don't think it's worth $40, So, but yeah, I spent a lot of my weekend doing that, grinding, because some of it was fun, but not great. And then I revisited Dragon Ball Z Kakarot to play the first DLC, which came out yesterday. which was also disappointing. I guess it's been a disappointing gaming week for me, because I love Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Like, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, so like for the entire like month before that game came out, like all I could think about was Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. And then I like bought the Ultimate Edition and I platinumed it in like a few weeks. And so I've been like really excited for this DLC to come out. And it was really underwhelming. It's basically just like battle packs or something. Like it's just a few more like battles that you can do, like training against these two bosses, like Whis and Beerus, and it unlocks a new transformation for Goku and Vegeta. But like it was just a lot of grinding and wasn't all that much fun. And then like once you beat the DLC and you unlock the new forms and everything, it's like chances are you've already done everything else there is to do. So there's like nothing to do with your power. You know what I mean? It's kind of like in Zelda Breath of the Wild when you do everything and you unlock the like motorcycle, and it's like, oh, this is so cool that I have the motorcycle, but I've done everything, so you know why have it? No.
I didn't like how they changed the story. How like it's kind of weird. There's some iconic scenes like my Bulma or whatever, you know, like
Yeah.
They could have did some really good stuff with that. But I mean, I guess we have to wait until the paid DLC part comes out. Is this free or what's going on?
No, so it's a weird rollout because Azario and I were talking about this the other day because I was trying to figure out how much this DLC cost because it took me like 2 hours to do everything, and I was like, okay, if this is like $15, like that's not worth it. And the only way you can get this DLC, because it's called A New Power Awakens Part 1, and since it's Part 1, the only way you can get it is with the Season Pass, so there's no way to buy it on its own. Oh. So once Part 2 comes out in a few months, or whenever it comes out, you can buy all of A New Power Awakens together.
So I see.
And then there's going to be another story bundle that comes out even later that you can buy. So there's going to be 2 things you can buy separately, but they're releasing them in like 3 parts.
That's wonky.
Yeah, it's weird. So if you don't have the season pass, you like can't even play this DLC right now.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, like you might as well just wait out the whole thing, huh?
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, unless you're like desperate for more Dragon Ball like Z Kakarot content, like there's no real reason to go back. I would just wait till the whole thing comes out. But like what you were saying, Azario, about them cutting like the story out, the only reason I could think that they're doing that is because they're saving that content for a sequel. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Because what this was, since it was more like focused on battle and not story, the second part is going to be the same way. And then there's going to be an original like story DLC that is focused on story, but it's not going to be based off the anime or the manga. It's just original. So I'm thinking they're holding all of the Dragon Ball Super story content for like a Dragon Ball Z Kakarot 2, you know?
Yeah.
At least that's what I hope.
They'll get CyberConnect 2 to do something. That company.
I mean, Kakarot sold insane. Like it did. Yeah. It did really well. So
yeah, we'll see more.
Yeah, that's what I've been playing this week.
Cool. Madison, newcomer. How about you? What have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of stuff on my 3DS because it's probably one of my favorite consoles. I've been playing Devil Survivor Overclocked, which is probably my favorite Shin Megami Tensei game ever made. It's so good. It's like a mix of tactics gameplay and also role-playing gameplay. So you move around on a grid, and then when you attack another unit, it goes into like a quick turn-based system. And it's just structured really well. I love how the game is. It's so good.
Dar, how do you feel about the 3DS like online features slowly being kind of dissolved?
Oh yeah, that's really bad. Like I've also been playing Bravely Default and Bravely Second, and you're supposed to get like get friends by doing net invites and Street Pass. But like barely anyone's playing it anymore, so I haven't gotten any friends, and it's all temporary guests, which still lets you finish the game, but you're missing a lot because like the finale of Bravely Default sort of hinges its emotions on the fact that it starts doing this multiverse thing with your friends' worlds.
Yeah.
But if you don't have any friends, it defaults to these buddy bots. So there's this great scene where it's like, no, not friend bot. His world is being destroyed. In fact, one of like the attack quotes for when you use the Bravely Second mechanic in the first Bravely Default game, Tiz lists through all his friends like for a deer, for ring a bell, for Agnes, and then they have a joke one that's just and this is for friend bot. It's kind of goofy, but I think they're aware of how goofy that moment is because they've got that Bravely Second quote. But yeah, I really love the 3DS. It's a shame it's sort of old news now, and a lot of the online stuff is kind of dying.
It's weird because when I used to go to events, like 4 years ago, everybody had their 3DS with them. It was
and they were just like cashing on all that Street Pass stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
everybody would have. I would clear it out, and now I take the damn thing to Anime Expo. Last year, I maybe passed like 7 people, dude, and that's never happened.
It's the end of an era. It's terrifying.
No, see, it's surprising to hear you say that you like love the 3DS so much because like there are so many games on the 3DS that I would love to play, but for some reason like I just can't will myself to play my 3DS. Like even when it was like because I was like I've always been like obsessed with Pokemon, but during like the 3DS years, like I picked up Sun and Moon. And I just couldn't finish it because I just couldn't will myself to play my 3DS. Like I don't know, there was something about it, something like the size or something. I don't know, which is weird because I grew up playing my Game Boy and my normal DS all the time.
I mean, it helps because I have the new 3DS XL model, which is like the biggest one, so that really helps with the resolution and stuff. But
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the DS and 3DS are just some of my favorite consoles. They were really good for JRPGs and adventure games, which is sort of my favorite genres. So
the games on there are really expensive since I only buy physicals. So that's is that just buying the games is the good ones, the good DS. Like I mean, they have Dragon Quest. All the Dragon Quest is on 3DS and DS, which is freaking amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
All the Final Fantasies are on there. You got a Chocobo game. You got it all.
They got The World Ends With You. That's
like yes.
I think that's one of the games that like utilize the 3DS's like hardware the best.
Yeah.
As far as like using it and building it into the game's mechanics, I thought it was really cool.
Isn't The World Ends With You a DS game?
It is. I was gonna say something.
It started off as a DS game, right?
You could play it on 3DS.
Yeah, but you can play it on 3DS, and then they put it on mobile, and it's just not as good because they had to change.
Now it's on. They put it on touchscreen as well.
And they put it on Switch as well, but they changed it so like it's doesn't play the same because they had to change a lot of the mechanics because they're not doing a dual screen thing anymore, and it's just not the same.
I don't know. I don't mind the mobile version. I think it simplifies a lot, which can be a downside, but it can also make it a lot easier to play because it is kind of a very difficult system.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, rip 3DS.
Yep.
Oh, I'll miss it.
For our listeners, if you're gonna go to a trade show, just bring your 3DS with you. Like it's just leave it for us. Just leave it on. You don't even have to play it. Just bring it with you and leave it on. Do it for Azario.
Get your play coins.
I have like 3 more puzzles to complete. I'm like, sucks. Anyway,
all right. How about you, Victor?
I haven't been playing much other than the review I did for Deliver Us the Moon, which I talked about a bit last episode. This song I actually talk about. But yeah, it turned out really well. The thing about this review is all my reviews is that sometimes I will mention that some of the narrative games kind of remind me of like movies and stuff, and I try not to say that anymore because it's just I overplay it too much. But that's essentially how I felt, because it's just really good. The narrative really carries you throughout, and unlike other narrative adventure games where it's just like like all you do is like walk somewhere, maybe you grab an axe and like whack it against something, and then like some story happens around you. This one you actually have tools, and because first off, I should start with what it actually is before I start going nuts. it's that space narrative game where like the Earth's depleted of resources, and you have to go to the moon and figure out why the the facilities on the moons aren't supplying energy. So you're an astronaut and you go up there and like you got your space tools and you like your laser cutter and all that stuff, and all that's great because like it's a great way to buffer through and a nice way to pace through all the story, because like if it's just nothing but interactive story, then maybe you get bored. It just depends on how you feel about the genre. But this one has like, has environmental puzzles. You can cut through stuff. You have to collect action tanks when you're out in space, and you have to make sure you don't suffocate to death. Plus, it has like cool set pieces that where crazy stuff happens. So, as a guy who likes set pieces, like things like the Uncharted series and stuff like that, it's nice to have stuff like that in there, as well as a strong narrative adventure, padding you through. And I don't know. So it turned out great. I think like the only thing I didn't like was the loading sections, because like there are like bigger chunks to walk around in, and then every time you leave an area, it's not so much that the loading, I don't care about the loading times, it's just how hard it jerks you. Like the entire thing stutters to a complete stop, and then it's kind of like going in between levels of like, I don't know, like Half-Life, but it feels annoying.
It's bad. It's bad game design. It's where like games like Star Wars Jedi or Fallen Order or whatever, they'll make you like go through a little cave real quick, and that's how they mask the loading time in the back end. But this one, it just throws you into a room, and then halfway through the room, it jerks you back, and it's like, why did you put that in the doorway or something?
It does break it. That sounds like it does break immersion quite a bit.
A funny technical thing is that if you put Jedi Fallen Order on a external hard drive, like I have, because I just ran out of space on PlayStation, it actually loads slower. So not only does it do the funneling into the mass load screens, it also just put me up an elevator and just stop while all the textures are loading. And I'm just like, what is happening? Anyways, but this game does a little bit of that. You, especially when you go back and forth between some larger areas, it just keeps completely stopping and jerking, or completely ruining the momentum of the load. But other than that, I think it's great if you like things like what's that called in the forest, the one that everyone likes, Firewatch, Gone Home, all those things. Like you like it's a bit more action than those titles, but it's the narrative is just as strong. Maybe some motivations of characters is a little wonky, but I let it go because I was just like, it's fine. I haven't really been playing anything else, so yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Can't be playing games all the time. We're not Azario.
No, except Metro. But I just love Metro, and I want to do a video series on it. Or not an episode on it.
Strictly speaking, Azario is Azario, so one of us is.
Dude, Metro is pretty good.
Metro's sick. I love it.
Yeah. It's weird that I like that game because I usually stick with what I love. It's not like a weed game. But goddamn, I could literally play that game.
Yeah, it's a little too normie for you.
There's no downloadable bathing suits in there, so.
Well, there is a strip like dance scene, and unlike my weeb games, that shows real titties or like actual titties, not just alluding to them. These big old anime titties. So, I mean, which is worse?
I can't tell you.
I mean, Kratos can have sex with 2 lesbian girls.
You always bring this up.
Okay. And everybody's cool.
This is the second time you brought this up in the past 4 episodes.
Listen, hear me out. Everyone's cool with it, but if Senran Kagura wants a more revealing bathing suit, nope. Put the brakes on.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. I thought you were talking about how the new God of War, like Kratos is up now.
No. But I can use that analogy for other. I just move it around to fit.
Very versatile analogy
to fit what I want it to fit.
Oh man.
Sure, he can have sex with 2 lesbians, but the moment you try to do a loading screen that isn't masked by a hallway, then suddenly
bad game design.
It's a bad game. It's you gotta manage your video game budget, okay? You gotta put your budget where you need it.
If I see one loading screen during this lesbian scene, I'm gonna be really upset.
That's where they should put the loading scene. I think that'd be hilarious.
Break the immersion.
Warning, loading lesbians.
Brian, what are you playing?
So yeah, I recently did a review for the DLC for Remnant from the Ashes, the Swamps of Courses DLC, which I actually thought was really cool. Because I really love Remnant from the Ashes. I thought it was a really good game. I feel like it's a sleeper game that everyone kind of just doesn't know about, or they just like dropped off of everyone's radar. But it's like
I honestly
really
have no
good
idea
game.
what that is. I've never heard of that game before.
Yeah, so Remnant from the Ashes, it's kind of takes a lot of inspiration from those like Dark Souls and like Bloodborne type games, where it's supposed to be a challenging game where you have to, dodge enemies' attacks because they do like a crap ton of damage. You really manage your stamina bar. They have like checkpoints that you have to go to respawn at, or else you reset and things like that. But the things that they changed for this is that now it's a shooter instead. Kind of looks a little bit more like the Division and things like that. And so it's set in this like post-apocalyptic world. You arrive trying to find this like lighthouse. I haven't beaten the game yet, so I don't know where the story is going. So far what I know is that you're trying to find some lighthouse. You get swarmed by a bunch of these like tree mutant monster things, find a bunch of humans in a bunker, and now that's your home base, and you use these stones to teleport around the world to try to like fight off the things and get answers to some mysteries and stuff. And eventually there's this whole like world jumping thing where you go to different planets and things like that. So the game is really cool.
None of that matters though, Brian, because it's all about
none of that matters. I don't know. I actually really think the story bit, at least how they the story, I think it's interesting. Not necessarily the story itself, but how they like how you go about finding more about the story is really cool. Because there's ones where you have to like, there's a bunch of computers in the warehouse, and you can like read it into their computer logs and see what happened in the past, in the history, why things are the way that they are. In order to get to some of these computers, you have to like really snoop around, find like key card items, and like unlock secret locations and stuff by just exploring.
A little bit like Fallout in that sense.
Yeah, it's really neat. And then so there's certain, so how they do it, it's not like procedurally generated. They have a bunch of different like portions of maps and dungeons that they kind of link together when you do a playthrough. And so everybody's playthrough is sort of different in how things are constructed. So there'll be instances where you won't find certain bosses in your playthrough, but you'll hop into your friend's playthrough or some random person's playthrough, and they might be getting a different boss than you are. And bosses drop items that you can use to craft into like cool weapons and modifications and things like that. So there's like a lot of little details and like things that they've really combined a lot of different factors from different game genres, and I think it works really well. And what I really liked about the DLC that they brought in was they added a game mode called Survival Mode, which basically turns the whole thing into a roguelike, where you start with nothing except a pistol, and you get like 1,000 currency, and you use it to buy like your starting stuff that's random, randomly generated in the store, and you can choose what you want to buy. And then you just try to survive as long as you can in this like endless dungeon gauntlet, picking up more items and skills and leveling up as you go through the dungeon. And yeah, so that's like a lot of fun. It's not something that, I expected them to bring into this game. And I think it's refreshing that they give you that as an option. And so I really think it expands the game a lot. And on top of that, they added some more like an adventure biome and stuff like that. But that stuff is kind of more smaller scale. I think the big portion really is that survival mode, which I think is awesome. And then other games I've been playing, I've still been playing more Murder by Numbers. I never really played Picross games before, and this got me really into them. It's super addicting. I think I sat down for straight 4 hours just playing Picross.
Really? That's by the Hatoful Boyfriend devs, huh?
It's a good game. I really liked it because it's got some like Ace Attorney like vibes to it. It's more simple than like a Phoenix Wright game.
I think the soundtrack is actually by the guy who did the Ace Attorney soundtrack.
Oh wow.
Oh, the soundtrack is really good.
I
I do really
remember
like this.
I remember Lynn wrote that review, and then someone called her out for not knowing what Picross was in her review. And
Well,
she
some
was-
other people were really nice too. It's like it's nice that someone can like enjoy the whole game and review it and not know what the Picross is.
Yeah.
It sounds a little backhanded, but I think it's kind of like a compliment.
that's true.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And I was like, yeah, like it is kind of cool to see that. Like, it doesn't have to be an expert. Like sometimes it's refreshing seeing someone play a genre of game from like new eyes without all that bias and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've been playing a lot of that. I bought After Party, which is kind of like that. I don't know. It reminds me of like Oxenfree a little bit, where the premise is like there's two characters and they are in the afterlife because they died somehow, and now they have to basically out party Satan in order to get out of hell.
I think it might be the same devs as Oxenfree, which is why it's reminding you of it.
Yeah,
because the art style looked very similar to it.
Yeah,
too.
and
then just
the dialogue choice. Yep,
Mhm.
it's the same devs.
Yeah, and so I've been enjoying it. I don't know. It's a little bit like I feel like I don't have a lot of choice in what I'm doing in some of the stuff. It's cool to like kind of go on that like I guess narrative story and stuff, but it just doesn't feel I guess interactive enough for me. But the story is funny. The character dialogue is really good. And it's a mixed bag for me. I don't know. I'm not 100% on board with the game, but I'll probably keep playing it just because I want to know what happens if I can make my way out of hell and how I do it.
Yeah, I picked up After Party when it came out. It was on Xbox Games Pass, like right at launch. So I played it on that, and yeah, I got like halfway through it or something, and then got bored and stopped.
Yeah, like I was like interested for a bit, and I was like, ooh, there's like it's world building, like when you're not getting sentenced for like torture and stuff like that. They have like devils have a 9 to 5 basically job, so they'll stop torturing after 5 p.m. and then everyone just gets drunk at a bar until they get tortured the next day or something. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But yeah, it got kind of stale after a while, and I just kind of put it down and haven't picked it up since then. But yeah, other than that, that's been me. So let's move on to the new segment where we talk about games that we wish we played, that we regret not having played growing up. Looking back, or like what are some games we're like, oh man, I really wish I got into that. The hype was, when it first came out, or when it was the cool thing. Zara, you wanna start off again?
Yeah. Today, I've never played Xenogears.
But only today.
Wait, is that no Xenosaga on PS2?
Which one is it? Yeah, PS2 Xenosaga.
Yeah. The Xenosaga trilogy I have never played. I've played Xenogears on PlayStation. I've never played Xenosaga trilogy on PS2. And I wish I own it. I own the damn games. I've just never played them. I started the first one maybe about 15 minutes, like a few years ago, but I have like those are like 3 games that I really want to play. And then I looked more into it, and there's like a bunch like pulled out and censored in them in the Western releases, and I'm like, well, that sucks. And yeah, so I wish I played those ones. Jake, on to you.
Yeah, so let's go with the same order. Sorry, I should have specified.
So I think for me, this is going to be a really weird answer, but like all of the older Call of Duty games, I kind of wish I would have gotten into that, because a lot of my friends, they just talk about how much they played like all the Modern Warfare games when they were coming out, and like, the old Black Ops and stuff. And I was always like, Call of Duty, that's too normie for me, or whatever. Like, oh, everybody at school plays that. I don't want to play Call of Duty. So I never really played it. Also, I was like a Nintendo kid, so I didn't get an Xbox until like later than most people. So I wish I would have been able to play some of those older Call of Duties in their heyday, because now like I don't know. I'm just like not really into it. So like I can play the campaigns and stuff, but I'm not really into the multiplayer. And I feel like if I would have gotten into it back then like just the memories of playing it as a kid would have kept me playing it now. You know, because people have like the squads that they played with, you know, way back, and they like still play with now.
Yeah,
and,
that's
like,
true.
Yeah, I feel like I missed out on that. So
I just remember how good World at War was, and that kind of changed things for me because I never played it, and then I played World at War, and I was like, okay, this is a good series.
After playing Modern Warfare 2 campaign remastered, it made me go like, man, I need to go back and like play all these campaigns. It was like it was really good.
That'll get you,
Yeah.
Madison.
Well, my joke answer is Call of Duty, so I could have followed the conversation we just had. But I think my real answer has to be Xenoblade Chronicles, because I first saw the game when it came out for Wii, and I just saw a review of it in Game Informer, and I wish I jumped on it then, because the Wii version's really hard to find, and it's become one of my favorite games since.
So have you played through the campaign, or?
I mean, yeah, I've got the new 3DS version, so
Okay.
I've played a lot of that, and it's a really good game.
You wish that you got it when it was in its prime.
Yeah, when it was new, and I mean, I don't think it would change much. I just sort of wish I'd been a fan of it for longer, so I'd have that street cred. Like, oh yeah, I liked it before; it was cool.
Yeah. To be fair, nobody played Xenoblade Chronicles on Wii. Like, there's like a select few, and then the price of it went super high, so no one bought it, and then it went kind of lower.
Yeah, it's actually really it's really interesting, because what happened is it wasn't actually going to come out in the West at all, but there was a fan campaign to bring 3 games over to the West. It was Operation Rainfall, which was Last Story, Pandora's Tower, I think, and Xenoblade Chronicles. And really only one of them became popular, but it was only released in GameStop, Xenoblade, and the price just went way up, so no one really got it.
I wasn't a part of the campaign, but I used to work at Operation Rainfall. But this was after the campaign.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
This is after the campaign happened. But yeah, I used to take credit though at like E3 and stuff. People have been like, "Oh yeah, thank you for bringing that." Like I had
No problem, guys. I do it for you. That's what you
Azario did it single-handedly.
remember
Well,
my name.
I had lunch one time with some people, and Jared Petty ended up showing up, and I started talking to him and just like nerding out over old retro games, and he saw us from Operation Rainfall. He's like, "Well, thank you for doing all that work for bringing the," and I was just like, "Yeah, I did it." That was
pat
me.
on the back a little bit.
I want to thank
You're
you
welcome.
personally for making Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition all on your own with no help.
Thank you.
Yeah, you heard it here first. It was all Azario, you guys.
Azario, I love all of your whenever you just like subtly like drop a like industry thing, like, oh yeah, I was just having lunch with Jared Petty.
Yeah, it's just
like no
that
big
one
deal.
time,
Yeah.
It's only the cool people that I like the really down to earth people. I don't really bring up some people that I don't like.
So yeah, we're all gonna once this like takes off, we're all gonna be name dropping Azario. Be like, oh yeah, I used to work with Azario back on .net.
Oh yeah, he was in Operation
He's the guy who
Rainfall.
single-handedly the Chronicles.
He localized the whole thing.
He talked about masturbation a lot.
A lot.
Other than that, though, he was great.
It wasn't enough to make me uncomfortable, but it was enough to know.
He had a good way of making that like fine line,
Victor, what about you?
Oh, is it my turn now?
Yeah.
One I remember off the top of my head was Izuna, the Legend of the Unemployed Ninja, I believe. It was on DS. And I believe it was from Atlas and made by Ninja Studios. It was like this little DS game, and like it had like the pink haired chick, and like she kind of looks like if Sakura from Naruto was actually cool. And
Hey,
I don't know,
watch your mouth.
And
Dangerous territory.
and yeah, so I just remember seeing like screenshots in like a preview, I believe, in Game Informer, And like ever since then, I was like, the game just looks cool. I just want to play it. And like, that was like the time again, DS to like play like RPGs and stuff like that, dungeon crawlers and stuff. So I was just like, I really want to play the game, and I never did. Never owned a DS of my own. This 3DS is the first, I believe, Nintendo anything I bought for myself. And that was just because it was Black Friday for $100. But like, I never even remotely thought to get that game because I'd forgotten all about it. But I remember it today, so it's good.
Wow, we did it, guys. We had a cohesive theme for the episode. DS's.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know. I want to shout out a console because I skipped an entire console. I skipped the Dreamcast altogether. And I hear so many good things about that console that like it was that there's a lot of fun games on there, and that it was a really like underrated piece of hardware.
Underrated.
And I just like feel so at a loss because when people like bring it up, I'm like, I think I've only touched a Dreamcast like once in my life.
I've wanted a Dreamcast for years, and I finally got one like almost a year ago now. And I was like, oh, finally, I've got a Dreamcast. And I don't like buying games online, so I try and go to like all my physical stores to get Dreamcast games, and just nobody has Dreamcast games. So for the past year, my Dreamcast has sat connected to my TV with the only game that I own for it, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Which is amazing.
Which is the best Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Okay.
And I honestly play it at least like once a month for like a few hours because it's so much fun. But yeah.
Well, anything else anybody wants to bring up before we close this one out?
Well, if you're gonna,
oh, sorry, Victor.
I was gonna make a joke. I was gonna be like, if you're gonna own a Dreamcast, you have to own Record of the Lowless Wars if you want to be cool like me.
Oh, yes. Or you could just burn CDRs and
That's right.
That's true.
If you want to own a Dreamcast, you got to get with my friend. Sorry, that was awful. Why did I try that?
That's great. I'm keeping that in. That's staying in there.
That's a good way to end the episode on.
That's a good way to end the episode. Well, as always, thank you everybody for watching. To hear more about video games and all the good gaming stuff, please check out noisypixel.net. We got gaming news, reviews, previews, interviews, all that great gaming content written by us and many more of our constituents. We also have a YouTube channel where we post video versions of all of our reviews and things like that. So if you're more of a visual person, you want to see what you're getting into, check that out. And if you're a tweety social person, you can tweet at us at NoisyPixel News. We also have an Instagram and all that stuff. But all the socials, they're on noisypixel.net. One-stop shop. Just go over there. And yeah, and if you want to reach out to us about the podcast, just give us a shout out or, submit some ideas on what we should talk about. You can hit me up at Brian, Brian, at noisypixel.net. And until next time, we'll stay frosty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later, Craig.